What have you done to combat fatherlessness in the Black community?
You're accepting that we have an issue with fatherlessness in the Black community. You're accepting that, I assume.
Actually don't. But
I'm not. You said that.
I
and I'm
didn't,
saying because
I didn't think so. So you're not accepting it, and you're asking me, what am I doing about something that you don't accept?
No.
Now you want me to do to answer?
No, Larry,
it's your campaign, Larry. Larry, this is your campaign. Your campaign is about fatherlessness.
I'm happy to answer the question, provided that you acknowledge that there is a problem.
Larry, get the fuck out of here.
I don't think that there is an issue with Black fatherlessness in the Black community. Asking one man, what are you doing to combat the fatherlessness issue in the Black community? What can he do other than having kids while married and also protecting his seed?
Hey everyone, this is Rock from StationSky.com, and I had a rebuttal to Medium Man's video here. I encourage everyone to check him out. I really respect Medium Man and what he does when it comes to breaking down the stereotypes, and he uses numbers to do it. But I did disagree with him a little bit on what he was saying. All right, let's start with, first off, the people who are addressing Larry Elder in this video. What have you done for the Black community when it comes to the fatherless households? And this is what they're arguing against him. I was a bit surprised by Larry Elder's reaction. You know, like, to me, the answer was simple, but he didn't go to the answer. He argued with the woman, was like, oh, so you're saying it's a problem? That's a bit childish. That was unlike Larry Elder. I was like, why is he doing this? He must be really upset. Anyways, the answer to that is education. You know, like, let's stop lying to each other. Anytime someone points out a problem, that's a form of education, right? If you didn't know, now you know. You were just educated that this is a problem. And we can give Larry Elder a lot of credit when it comes to educating people.
The number one social problem in America, by far, is the epidemic not of COVID, but of fatherlessness. 70% of Black kids today enter the world without a father in the home, married to the mother, up from 25% back in 1965. Now 25% of white kids enter the world today without a father in the home, married to the mother. And the stats are clear. Even Barack Obama once cited them. If you're raised without a dad, you're 5 times more likely to be poor and commit crime, 9 times more likely to drop out of school, and 20 times more likely to end up in jail. What's happened? In the mid-60s, with I think the best of intentions, a Democrat named Lyndon Johnson launched what he called the War on Poverty. And since then, we have incentivized women to marry the government and incentivized men to abandon their financial and moral responsibility. Young Black man, real young, 19 and under, the number one cause of preventable death is homicide, almost always at the hands of another young Black male. And the go-to reaction often is poverty and systemic racism. Here's the problem. 1940, when there was blatant racism. This is before Brown versus Board of Education, before the Civil Rights Act of 64. KKK was still alive and well. 87% of Blacks lived under the poverty line. Now it's about 14%. You can't blame it on poverty. You can't blame it on racism. It is the breakdown of the nuclear intact family, and neither side is talking about it.
That, the correlation to the Black on Black violence, to Black people getting arrested, theft, homelessness, teen pregnancy, drug addiction. You know what the correlation is there? A lot of them come from fatherless households, and when it comes to Black community, let's be honest, without the father being there, it's just a lot of the feminine energy that's being passed down to the children. Sometimes it's good. There are good examples. Not everyone who's raised by a single mother comes out bad. I'm just pointing that out. But the likelihood of the children coming out with strong discipline, work ethic, work hard, do the right thing, and treat, people with love and respect, respect authority, respect for authority. That comes from the father, the masculine being passed down to both the girl and the father. The girls who are going on stripper poles, the girls who, I need to go out and get a man, or else, and they get teen pregnant and they get pregnant as teenagers. Like a lot of that comes, I have the graphics right here on the screen for you. That comes from fatherless households. And hear what I'm saying. Fatherless households, right? That's my disagreement with Medium Man. Like I said, this video is going to be short and sweet. But Medium Man, he's saying, he's breaking down the numbers. Like apparently he's going to the CDC and it says, these fathers, Black men are involved with their children. But how do you define involved, right? Do they call on the weekend? They need book supplies, so they're there for them, but they're not living in the household with them. That's the problem. That would be my contention. Larry Elder usually articulates that point really well. I didn't see the whole video from that Medium Man uses, but that's the issue. The fatherless households, meaning children growing up in a home in which the father is not in the home. It's just the mother, the mother's boyfriends, or the stepfather, or whoever she has revolving in and out of the house. The fatherless households. Well, I'll tell you this. When my stepfather, because he was military, so very often he would go to deployment and he would be gone for like a month. It would feel like vacation when he was gone. You know, this is when we were living in Fort Hood. I was like 9 years old at the time. Oh, you have to go to California for a month? Dang. And we would feel good. We could do whatever we want. My mom's busy. She's working. You know, she's more lenient. You know, like my stepfather came home. He got the belt out and he laid down the law.
No! You have to sleep. No, I want bed. You're sick. No, I'm not. You're sick. No!
Lay down, be quiet.
You know, like there's nothing that straightens up a kid's act more than hearing the garage come up and, oh, dad's home. You know, straighten yourself out. You know, we'll get your homework done. You know, like that's discipline. That's the fear, a healthy fear that your father puts in the children. That's what I'm talking about. And I think that's important because to diminish or because it is a huge issue. Like when I saw Medium Man's thumbnail, I'm not gonna lie, I felt triggered. I'm like, what's he talking about? Fatherless households is a problem. What do you mean? You know, I saw that. So then I finally looked at the video and I like Medium Man again. You know, he wasn't saying, Larry Elder's completely wrong, but he broke down the stats when it comes to fathers being involved. Involved is a vague word. It's like saying, oh, I have contact with my children. Contact is a vague word. You know, does contact mean you talk to them every day or a text every other month? Because that's contact, you know? So I'm a bit dubious when it comes to those numbers. Involved doesn't mean crap to me. It's about being there in the household. And I talked to my mom yesterday about this because, like Medium Man said, I'm like, oh, well, what are you doing for the community? You know, like you're pointing out all the fatherless households, but what are you doing for the community? And as Medium Man said, there's not much he can do on an individual level. I mean, all we can do, like myself, I live by example. I haven't had sex before marriage. I'm very selective when it comes to choosing a mate, meaning I look for women who have godly virtues. She has to be hot. Obviously, that's the first thing I look for. But when I get to know her, you know, and I asked her, I told my mom, my litmus test is very simple. I put this question to her because a lot of the ladies claim to be Christian. I'm not saying they're not, but very often they're more slanted and corrupted by the world, and they just haven't swung my way yet. They're not to my satisfactory level. I say this litmus test. I say, hey, if the Bible says that such and such is an abomination and bad in God's eyes, but the world says, no, it's okay to do whatever you want, and if it makes you happy, do it, and even have it prayed for it, which way do you sway? And believe it or not, I have had some of the most beautiful black women you ever met, and they can't answer that question. They get mad at me. I'm like, well, I have gay friends, and I don't see why, shoving my beliefs down their throats is a problem. I think that's a problem. You seem more conservative. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. I am conservative. That's because I read the whole Bible and actually believe in it. Not to mention, I don't shove my beliefs on people's throats either. I work with a lot of liberal people. But if you were to ask me, Rock, which way do you sway? It's a no-brainer. I sway the Bible's way. I put God first, and then I would follow up with, by the way, I do, I don't shove my beliefs on people's throats either. But to ask that and to answer that question, to be asked that question, the answer is very simple. My point being is that it is an individual level, right? So there are guys like me who exist. I don't live in my parents' basement. I am a virgin at 37 years old. So and Rock, well, you're just one of the few, and we are one of the few. Proverbs 31 women are rare, and men like me who do have the strength, discipline, and the conviction to say no to the world, meaning, no, I'm not going to engage in hookup culture, despite the odds are against me, because men and women is different. Women, we look at women, oh, you're a virgin, your stock's high. But if a woman looks at a man and hears that he's a virgin, the stock's low. And that's it's kind of sad, because as much as people want to get on men and say, oh, well, men and women were different. And it takes a godly woman to basically, look at a man who is putting God first and value that. A lot of women, especially when they're young, they don't. It's not until they get a little bit older, wiser, more experienced, and sad to say, oh, well, I've been through, my asshole phase. And then, yeah, and in that phase, that hoe phase that you gone through, that liberal phase, Crystal Hazlett talks about it. Oh, I grew up in the church, but then I went to college and I got turned out, I had my fun. Now she's 40, single and childless, and it's like, she's still beautiful, but she's 40, like men like me, we worked our butts off to be able to build a financial foundation, ready to start a family. But now we're looking to get married, and we've been looking ever since we were young, right? We just accept it. In your 20s, girls are going to want to have fun. So I thought to myself, okay, at the very least, by the time I hit my 30s, I would find women who had the fun, got the fun out of their systems, and now they're ready to settle down and, you know, devote their life to Christ and repent from their whole, because honestly, as much as people get mad at the whole body count thing, sad to say, this is a wicked world we live in. I just accept it. You know, like, I can forgive a woman of her whole past if she's convinced me that she has changed. I know a lot of men don't want to hear that. They're like, no, your past matters. It does. You know, what's her name? The girl who did 35, Brittany Renner.
Because my dating pool is, I mean, my God, impressive, expansive. I've had sex with 35 guys. Damn!
You know, I saw that video, and you know that, and I think I saw a video from Drea where she said, "Oh, well, that's in the past." It is in the past, but like a lot of people said, hey, if you're part of that lifestyle, though, I mean, you gotta do a lot of work to convince the man, especially a wise man like myself, if I may say so myself, that you're not that person anymore. That takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of, you know, it takes time. You know. But my point of saying all that is that it is on an individual level. Men, we can't take you, you know, we can't drag you to the water and force you to drink. Meaning, you know, like, all we can do is just let you know at an early age, with all the videos that we put out in the manosphere that you guys want to demonize, hey, get married young. Your beauty is what attracts men to you. You know, men value youth, beauty, and fertility over your career and education. Well, you shouldn't. Doesn't matter what you think we should. You know, like, for generations, this has always been the way. You know, you're not going to change us. Some men have been changed, but not a lot of us, especially not the men you say you want. Well, Rock, what kind of men do you say we want? Responsible, virtuous, hardworking, masculine? The one who will get up in the middle of the night to what's that noise? You know, the one who's not going to send you to the flipping door to answer it when there's cops at the door. You know, like, that's the men you say you want. Those men are built with convictions, built with virtues, and they're the head of the household for the reason. It's not because what society's telling us. It's not because what Beyonce or what some Idris Elba or all these manosphere people or Andrew Tate saying. We're the head of the household because this is what God tells us to do. You know, so we carry that. Anyways, basically what I told my mom agreed. It's like, as much as it is on us men to step up and be better and to lead the community, it's on women to pick men like us to procreate with. But that's not what's happening by and large. Otherwise, guess what? There would be more children growing up in father households, with fathers being in households. That's not the case because they're picking bad men. Oh, well, it's not just the women's fault. The men tricked them. Ladies, if you wait until marriage to have sex, that would reduce that risk. But you don't want to do that. Oh, well, but the pressure, I get it. The Bible says, hey, deny yourself, pick up the cross and follow me. This is a choice. Christianity is a choice. Rock, well, a lot of people aren't Christian out there. Tell me about it. You don't say, you know, but yeah, so I just had to speak on that. I was going to do an essay, but it's like I had to get to work, and my essays I usually like to write, and it's more thought out and more complete. I barely have time for it, so I've been producing these videos. That's why I put them on my website. But I respect Medium Man. I respect what he's doing. I respect Larry Elder. I respect people who bring on Larry Elder, because their audience, especially if you have a black audience that's mostly urban and I won't say corrupted by hip hop, but hip hop influence, where, there's a street code, and it's like, no, there's only one code you should be following, and that's God's code. You don't know God's code? Pick up the Bible, Genesis chapter 1, verse 1, start reading it. Or you can just jump straight to the New Testament where you can read about Jesus Christ. 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 9 through 11 tells us, hey, do you not know that these will not enter the kingdom of heaven? And then it lists drunkards, thieves, idolaters, fornicators, adulterers, homosexuals. If you didn't know, now you know. Rock, what are you doing to help the community? Just there, I just did it. It's called education. If you didn't know, now you know. Now you have the choice of, do you believe it? Or you disregard it, and I don't like that, and he's stupid, and he's a misogynist for pointing it out, because that's what's happening. Oh, what are you doing for the black community? Education. What they really mean is you need to shut up talking about it. Shut up, black man. You and all your answers. You need to shut up talking about it. There's nothing you can do for the black community. Meaning they want handouts. They want you to. Honestly, But honestly, if I'm going to be completely honest, part of me does want to drag people kicking and screaming. Part of me does want to go to a culture where, you know, you see people acting up. Right? You're saying you want to bring bullying back. Partially because a lot of people out here are acting like children. And guess what? Children need discipline. Anyways, I'll stop there. Let me know what you think. What do you think about the fatherless households? What do you think about the whole fathers being involved and what that means? And yeah, you know, like education is a big problem. You know, awareness is the first step to change. All right.